Good day. Thank you all for joining this webinar of PRAESENSA Unknown Features. So yeah, as I mentioned, myself, Maarten Wings, Marketing Manager for EMEA, together here with Anton Thielen, a colleague from Eindhoven, who is Application Engineer for Public Address and Voice Alarm. And today we want to talk about the unknown features in PRAESENSA. So PRAESENSA is out in the market now already for a while. It has also been evolved over time. We have done many projects already with the system now, and Anton wants to share some experience that he has over useful features that you could possibly apply in your projects, which are not the obvious, but nevertheless very interesting to know. So Anton, please, I would like to give you the word, and please explain us about these unknown features.
Okay, thank you, Maarten. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you, Anton.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Let me first start with the three features, like Maarten mentioned in the introduction. The first of them is transfer of control. Transfer of control is something which comes from the UL, so from the American standard, but also like what's many times used in the Middle East and other regions related to the NFPA, where you then refer to UL standards. But there's a nice feature in it which is not so familiar at many locations. That's why I want to share you the transfer of control feature of PRAESENSA. So that's a transfer of control, first transponder, responder panels, call stations, and the application is for very high secure areas like in police, military, governmental buildings, etc., where you need to have a higher security protection against it. It's a feature which is inside the call station, and in the call station setting, where you can set a class in a call station of PRAESENSA. So you have nowadays 3 classes. That's a normal class where you have your normal operation with like background music control, etc., and all the features you might be familiar with in a regular call station. You have the emergency call station, which is the setting for especially the EN54 fire call stations, which can be used, and you have also the mass notification setting. And this mass notification class is something related to the UL, but can also be used for maybe other applications when you want to use this feature. So normal, emergency, and mass notification. And these transfer of control functions are behind the mass notification. Yeah, so you need to have that class set to the call station in order to get to this feature. What is it about? So it means that you have device options, and call station can be part of an emergency group. So they can be linked together as a group, and in that group, these call stations can take over the control of each other. Yeah, so you can maximum 1 emergency group configure in a system, and you can have in total maximum 20 of these call stations in such group assigned. In the emergency group, 1 call station is default in control. So when you have, for example, 3 call stations, you assign one of them as the one which is default in control. The other call stations at that moment don't have any control. So the other call stations then will follow the behavior of the call station which is in control. And other call stations can next request control. So they can to that one which is in control send a request command, and then that call station can grant it or deny the request. Yeah. And yeah, maybe you could think of why would it be useful. Yeah, you could, for example, imagine in a high secure area where like in a prison or in other areas, governmental areas, where maybe some part or one section is not anymore in control by the people who should be there, and so it's taken over, and then at that moment you can really take over and that call station and then do your own activity with it. Yeah, so that could be one of the use cases. So, and call stations, so therefore can be assigned that can overrule these control requests. So these call stations can then always have immediate access, overruling the others. Yeah, so that's something which you maybe have located in the most high secure area. Maybe consider it as a castle, maybe from the medievals, but you have someone at the gate, which is normally in control. When something would happen there, somewhere in the middle of the middle range area could then take over the control, and someone at the higher secure area in the middle of the castle can then at the end have the full control. So you could think of such type of scenarios to make a full secure emergency group. Yeah. When you look at the configuration, when you have mass notification call stations assigned, they will pop up in the emergency call station group. And that's a special setting in the call stations menu to select the call stations which are in that configuration that you can assign to the group. Then you can also, from that group, you can assign then one of the call stations which can overrule the control request. So that's the one which is the most important and which is normally at the highest secure area. When a mass notification call station is assigned to an emergency call station group, the emergency call station group name is added to the call station name. So you can also see then in which group that call station is located. So you give also a name to it. And now the transfer of control is possible. So then you have a couple of control functions. You have one indicator, so who is in control actually, and I will show that later. That button can also be used to overrule the control request. So if assigned, so if that call station which is in control, that indicator and another one has the rights to take it over, then he can push that button to overrule the control request. I will show that later. Then another button is the request control. So that means when a call station which is not in control would like to take over and become the first come first serve is this normally. And then the grant control is there for the call station in control to grant control that to the call station that requests it. And normally it's something which in a normal situation someone just wants to take over and you need to grant it. Yeah. And then you can deny control. So for a call station in control to deny the control that requests. Yeah, so that's also something which is possible. And then there's a timeout. You can configure a timeout. If there is no response from a grant or deny, then automatically the other one takes over. With that grant control timeout, you could do also something like for if you have a call station where you don't assign this grant or deny, yeah, then it's not possible for that call station to have control of that only in a regular operation. So you could play a little bit also with which functions you assign to a particular call station. Yeah. So transfer of control locations visible on the call station display, so you can see which ones are part of the group, and that's shown here in the display. So you have now 4 buttons assigned. One of them is if you have 3 call stations, one of them is the one which is in control. Yeah. The other ones are not lit up, so only this one is currently the one which is in control. So you know this is active. In the display, you have also now here a control locations button. If you click on it, like what is done on this third, you can get a list of all the control locations, so which call stations are part of the group and which one is in control right now. So you have also from all the others an ID which call station is in control. Yeah. So this one is now in control because of the LED, which is the control button is lit. This one is not in control, and the other one is also not in control. Yeah. Yeah. Calls started in the call station in control are visible on the other call stations in the group. So that means if you select the button at the call station which is in control, that will also be shown at the others. Yeah, and then how to configure it. In the call station extension, normally like here in call station called CSTD, and then you have the number of buttons. So you have on every extension, you have 12 buttons. And here I've made the screenshot of the first 7. But yeah, you have here now the option for the function. Instead of make announcement or select zones, you could also, or you have more, as you can see, you could also have here the transfer of control function. And that's then what you need to do when you want to configure this. And then you have these 4 options, which I showed you in the previous slides. The control indicator, the request control, and the grant and deny. So next, you have then the action definition. After you have created the functions of these extensions, then based on that, you see now also an action, and the action there you can really then indicate which button of this transfer of control buttons has which role. So this one is your control indicator, this is your request, this is your grant and deny, for example. Yeah, so that's what you can configure now on every call station extension button. So you could, with that control indicator, also that first one, overrule control requests. That's only for call stations which also get that overrule approved. Yeah, so that's I show you in the next slide. And the other ones have the request control, the grant and deny option here. Yeah, so let me go to the configuration of the, let me first show you the setup. I have here 3 call stations now. Yeah, the indicators are the lights are not so clear readable. Here at the left side, this is the request, and here at the lower side, you can see in control. So that means this one here, as you can see now, is the call station which is in control. So these ones are just now like standby. You can see that also when I would like to make a call, for example, I select here zones. You can now also see that the zone selection buttons at the others will also lit up. Although they do nothing, you see now the zone selections are following the ones which of the call station which is in control. Yeah. When I make a call, I start now a call. Here it's now active. Then you can also see that the others are also lit up. The call is active. Yeah. But here it says all systems normal, and here it says talk now. So and that's the difference then. You can also see on the control locations what is there. Here I can, maybe this one is a little bit better readable, but you can see here this is the list of 3 call stations, and the one the gate call station is the one which is in control. So the others can also see which one is currently making calls, etc. So let me stop the call again. Yeah, so now also the call is stopped and not shown anymore at the others. Yeah. Now when another call station wants to take over the control, like this call station, I have here a request button. Then you see the blinking at the call station at the right side. And now they have 10 seconds to grant or deny. So I will grant. So, and this 10 seconds is configurable. Then now you can see this call station is under control. Yeah? And this one can also request back. So it can ask the request. And he says, yeah, but I don't want this. So I can also deny. Yeah, so you can also, if you have the deny button configured, you can also deny requests. And then you have an option that if this one, well, this one is currently in control. That means now if I make a call with this call station, you see also it follows them, and you can make then the call via this call station. If I now want to take over the control from this call station by this, and I can force it. So I can, with the control button, I can really now say, even though I don't need to grant or deny, I just take over. So this middle call station is the one which is the most important, because I have signed that one as being the one in full control. Yeah, so that's basically the feature which you can configure. Also in PRAESENSA, I had one. Let me log in here to show you this. Device options, call station. Here you can see the emergency group. And so I had 3 call stations in the group, as you saw, the gate call station, the outer ward, and the inner ward. I have set the gate call station, that was the one at the right you saw before. That is by default in control. But the inner ward, which is the most important call station, that one has the ability to overrule. So it can always overrule and become the one which is in control. And you can also then define the timeout. You can say number of seconds, how much timeout, how much time you will have to get access to it. So that's basically the function of the emergency and takeover of control. Let me go to the next topic. That's the power save mode. And that's a power save mode. Maybe then I should explain a little bit first on where it is used for initially. It is managed via control lines between the MPS and the amplifier. And that's via the lifeline. And this lifeline is an 6-link wires between the MPS, our multifunction power supply, and the amplifier. So the lifeline can be split in 3 parts. The first one I don't now discuss. That's an audio line as backup, but you have also then control lines for the power save mode activation and the power supply for the amplifier control board. So so what maybe let's go to this. So this in detail here, this control lines, this MPS will report the amplifiers to operate in power save mode at the moment that the multifunction power supply, which is our power supply, but also the charger for the battery. You can connect the battery to it, and it will detect if there is a power failure. At that moment there is a power failure. Normally this MPS will report to the amplifier that it must go into a power save mode. Yeah? And when that amplifier gets that signal that it needs to go into power save mode and it doesn't have any call running at that moment, it will instruct the MPS, yeah, you may switch off the 48 VDC power. Yeah? So you still have a 12 volt going through this line, but to feed the control board, but the 48 volts are completely shut down then for that moment, at least for this channel then, if there is no call running. Yeah. Another option to activate this scenario is through a setting in a control input. So there is a function called power save mode. And this power save mode will bring this MPS and an amplifier in the same condition. So not based on a power failure, but because of the fact that you activate power save mode. So that's a control input from MPS or maybe from the I/O modules, one of the I/O modules, to activate power save mode. Yeah. So this connection between MPS and the amplifier, these two control lines, you have then this power save mode, which then activates it from MPS to amplifier, and then the amplifier, again, when there is no call happening here, it will, what I showed you before, is that it will get then into a sleep mode. Yeah, there is only one exception, that it will, if you have supervision activated on the loudspeaker lines, you need within 100 seconds to supervise your loudspeaker lines, then it will switch on the 48 volt for 5 seconds every 90 seconds and that's we call snooze mode, just for the monitoring, for the supervision. Yeah, and that's also controlled through these lines. But also it will switch on the 48 volt at the moment that you start a call or music at one of the channels of that amplifier. So that's of course because when this amplifier gets the request to play audio, then it needs to have the 48 volt. So then it will send the request and immediately the power will be active again on this amplifier. Yeah, when the amplifier doesn't have any call anymore running, then it can tell the MPS, the multifunction power supply, to switch off the 48 volt and to get into sleep mode. Yeah, so that's the HCID. So either if it is running on battery with sleep or snooze mode, to reduce the power consumption from the battery mainly, increase the backup time of the system. That's in case of an MPS power failure that you use this power save mode. And the other way is then that you really use the power save mode contact. So that means you have still mains, but you can bring the system into a sleep mode in that case when no call or music is active on the amplifier. Yeah, and that's especially the function where I want to highlight during this webinar. And then of course also the snooze mode in case that there is no call running, but it needs to be active shortly to do the monitoring. Yeah, so the main source here, target is here to reduce mains power consumption. That's the goal then for this power save mode in that case. Yeah, there is then one additional connection here. That's this 12 volt. Because this control board of the amplifier, in case it will ask the MPS to switch off the power from MPS to amplifier, yeah, then it still needs to have, of course, power feed from the MPS. So it still gets then 12 volt to keep the network and the control board active from the amplifier. So to power network and control board when the 48 volt is switched off, and that's basically the battery voltage, and if it's not the battery voltage, then it is derived from mains. Yeah, so when I switch back now to the camera for the power save mode, for that I have a small measurement tool, just for you to get an idea. I hope you can see it here. This is the current active watts which are measured from the consumed by the MPS, which serves 3 amplifiers. Yeah, so that's about 246 watts which currently consumed. When I now activate the button to bring the device into power mode, now you see the LEDs are green. And when I activate the power save mode and there is no call running, the LEDs become blue. Yeah, and only then so that means that they are in a low power mode. When I now show you the the current the load, so it's only 110, what you can see here. So it really significantly has impact on the power consumption in case the amplifier is simply in a standby and is not used. Yeah. So so with that, you could really bring when I bring it back to active, you can see again then it increases to 245. Yeah. Let me again get into that low power mode. When I now make a call, you could imagine, yeah, if I make a call, oh, it's not in control. I need to have this one. When I make a call and then you can see that the middle, I make now only a call, or the upper one, I make only a call to the upper amplifier. So only that one now is active. The other ones still remain into sleep mode, but only the amplifier where I make the call to is active. So it doesn't still have the full load, but yeah, when I stop the call, then it jumps back into sleep mode. Yeah, and it drops back, and now it does maybe a short load measurement, as you can see at the back of the screen. There you can see it checks the lines, so then it will shortly be in a kind of snooze mode, and after that it jumps back, and then you can see again it's about 110. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. So it goes pretty fast, as you maybe have noticed. If let me, I have this call station. I push the talk, and when I that's now in sleep mode, and let me select some more zones. So it's really very quickly. You hardly notice that it takes time to power on the system. Yeah. So that's basically the explanation on this power save mode. Let me go now to the third topic, and that's the telephone interface. Yeah, maybe most of you know that we have a telephone interface built in, but yeah, maybe to explain a little bit more on the features we have here. It's yeah, VoIP. So it's a method of group of technologies for the delivery of voice. And we are using SIP as a signaling protocol. So SIP is normally the protocol which initiates, maintains, and terminates the communication settings. So the SIP is more the protocol to set to create a session. Yeah, but it is used in voice, video, messages applications. And what you can see here is that you have a PABX somewhere, and you have a PRAESENSA system and a telephone. That's the basic setup. So you need to have a PIBX to connect external and internal callers to an external network via switchboard. So you could also have multiple telephones, of course, connected to it, and then you can make calls to each other. Yeah. So how does SIP work in a VoIP call to PRAESENSA? Each VoIP user has a SIP address, and then SIP works by establishing the calls, connecting the SIP address to the other before the data transfer starts, and then the caller is then a telephone. That's like a microphone then, and you have then the call receiver, which is PRAESENSA in that case. And we have some codecs currently supported. We will have more soon. Only one SIP call at the same time. What is required for SIP telephony to PRAESENSA? Well, already mentioned, yeah, it's for local calls only. So you need to have an when you only want to have local calls. I mean, then you need to have a telephone. You need to have a soft phone like a Zoiper or a software or a 3CX. And you need to have a local PABX in that case. I'm here using a GrandStream UCM, but yeah, you could have any local PABX there, which normally supports standard SIP telephony. We are using inside PRAESENSA asterisk, so it should be compatible with an asterisk system in that case. So you could have then a local PABX there, and to make the calls. So for external calls, then you can then use a reliable SIP service provider to install a SIP trunk from that local PABX to the internet service provider, SIP service provider. Yeah, so in that way you can also create external calls. Since firmware 1.70, we support an internal telephone interface in PRAESENSA. It's there by default, so there's no license needed for it. The configuration in the PABX is then that you need to define the number of extensions which you would like to use. Yeah, for every call to a zone or a zone group, and a SIP extension is needed. And you can set up that in the PABX and then ensure that the SIP extensions are configured in the PABX, and the PABX is reachable then via the PRAESENSA network, and then set up your extensions in PRAESENSA. Yeah. So how does it look like in the system composition? So you have already a device which is called this PRASIP as a device type, and the host name is also visible when you, so it's internally there, so you can assign that host name, and then you can, at the moment you do this, you have a SIP device in your system. You can next configure your domain. You have your proxy server, optionally a backup server. You can set up gain if you want to have it louder. You can have some jitter buffer security certificates loaded to have it fully secured, set up, and then the emergency relevance is not selectable. We do not support SIP for evac calls, so that's something which is not allowed because you by standards. So that's something which cannot be used for emergency. SIP accounts, add them, and then for every SIP account you can then add a call definition, and then you are pretty free to choose. So you can, for example, here with the call definition, indicate, like you maybe already used to when you configure a standard call station. You can then tell which start chime is being played, and it could also be a message, by the way. And next, then the call is started. The SIP call ignores the message, live speech, and continuous call because it's always live speech happening after this chime, after this start tone which you upload, or message which you upload as a start tone. And next, then these settings are used. Yeah, so you can then indicate to which zones it should go. This, or for every SIP account, you then tell to which zone it should be called and which call definition should be used. Yeah, so you're pretty flexible then to choose it. What I didn't tell here is that I have also two different type of configurations in my SIP setup, which I'm going to show you later. And so that maybe first I show the configuration, because in my system composition, I have my telephone interface. I must look, I have too many here. Yeah, you have the SIP. I call it GrandStream, but yeah, you can give it any name. So then you have your device options, and then in the telephone interface, you have this name. You have your settings for the proxy server and the SIP accounts. I have a number of telephone numbers created here. And next in my actions, I define in the telephone interface what to do with it. So I have here, as you can see, two call definitions. One is SIP priority 32 and one is SIP time shifted, as I named it. Yeah. So that means I can also combine it with, in this case, our call stacking and time shift function. So, and I'll show you later on what the difference is. But when you look at the call definition and the call definition here, you can see now that when I go to last one, SIP time shifted, there is an option here, routing scheme stacked. A stacked functionality is licensed. So you need to purchase, if you want to use the call stacker in PRAESENSA, you need to order a license. But that makes also the option to do a time shift. And that means at the moment that your telephone is close, for example, to a loudspeaker, then yeah, it's not nice that you immediately here have feedback from the telephone to the loudspeaker. The nice thing of the time shift in that case is that you have higher quality audio. It really differs a lot. High quality audio even from a telephone then, and it will then play after you have finished your call. Yeah, so that's the difference. Another thing is then, because it's stacked, if there was another call already happening at that location, it will wait before it plays out. So let me demonstrate it here. I have here the telephone. Yeah, I make a call. Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Yeah. So this is now the regular call. I make that to a particular zone, and yeah. So I now can do also a time shift. That's the other telephone number which I configured. One two three 1 2 3. This is a time shift test. I finished the call. 1 2 3 1 2 3. This is a time shift test. Yeah, so this is the second, when you have a time shift. You could also think of, I already have a call running. So I now have one of the call stations. I have now an active call. And now from an external location, I call to this same zone. Yeah. Can passenger ABC go to the gate, please? Yeah, well, this other call is still happening. So, but as you know, there's no announcement because zone 2 is still alive. When I finish, can passenger ABC go to the gate, please? And then you can see when the call is finished from the higher important call station that it will take over. So just some features or ideas to play with the functionality also of the telephone interface here.